Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of How Hollywood Works. I'm your host Allegra Melloul and today I have Michael Gross and Matt Glass, sort of Whisperhawk. What
Whisperhawk and friend.
Whisperhawk and friend, ex-Brobex. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful.
I'm also doing.
How are you?
I'm as wonderful as he is.
We're both wonderful.
All right. So let's just get right into it. So you guys were originally part of the Brobex back in the early 2000s. How did the Brobex originally form and what direction did you guys originally want to take it?
Why don't you take this one? Because it kind of stemmed from a different group that Matt was in.
Me and Dallin and a friend of, one or two friends of ours from high school were in a band called 1000 West. It's a great band name. And we made like a lot of Beatles rip-off music and things like that. And then a couple years later, everybody got together and we picked up this guy. Actually, I guess me and Mike made some music before that, just as Michael Gross.
Yeah, when I first started attempting music, I got together with Matt and we just kind of messed around in his basement.
Yeah.
Songs and recordings. Most of it really, really bad. But so I started getting into music too. Like I fell in love with it when we started doing that, like recording and playing. It was so fun. And so a couple years later,
those guys. We joined back up with those Dallin and
Brian,
Scott and Brian.
Brian Szymanski, who was the original keyboard player, and then we formed the Brobex.
Yeah, the name came from somebody from our high school or something like that.
Just a random person from our high school that we never really knew. We didn't know them personally, but we always heard their name being called, like over the speaker or whatever. Like they were truant a lot or absent a lot, and they always were being called to the office. So I think that's where the name originally came from. When we started, yeah.
There's also I guess I shouldn't name the other people that were always called in.
Want to name names here?
Yeah. And then that's how that happened.
So yeah, we just kind of started out after that. Me and Matt and Dallin and a gentleman named Brian Szymanski were the original lineup, the Brobex.
So what directions do you guys want to take the Brobex originally?
I think at first we just wanted to have fun, right? We just liked recording music and playing shows. Like I guess the ultimate goal in the beginning was just to play live shows and record music and have fun. You know, we didn't have a whole lot of responsibilities back then, so we could just spend a lot of time in the garage messing around, making music. And then people started liking it, I guess. And so then we started to do more with it. And then we started touring. A lot of California shows is where we would hit California quite a bit. And then a following started to grow. But I don't think we really intended on like becoming rock stars or anything like that. That wasn't like our goal. It was just fun to do, right?
I would say the music was probably back then a little weird for like mainstreamness. So it wasn't like we were trying to like get a record deal or like be huge. It was just like playing the stuff that we wanted to play.
Yeah, like some of the early stuff's a little odd, you know, some like the arrangements and sounds and stuff like that. But it was fun for us, and yeah, for some reason people liked it too. So that was cool.
All right, cool. So like, what did you guys learn from being in the Brobex?
Well, for me, that was my very first band that I had ever played in. I had never played music live before or in any bands. So I learned everything really about music from that band, from the Brobex. So just how to play an instrument and then how to play a live show and a little bit about recording and just kind of how everything works, you know, from playing shows and touring, like knowing what it's like to really tour as an independent artist. You know, it's not always glamorous. I forgot what the question was, but
what did we learn from
yeah. So I learned everything from that.
Yeah, I would say for me it's recording. I learned how to record better and using home equipment usually and getting the most out of your home studio.
Yeah, 'cause Matt recorded all the first two Brobeck records. Matt recorded them just in his basement, really, with what little equipment we had. And so, yeah, I mean, he's grown as like a recording engineer since then. But so, yeah, I guess that's.
I guess I learned how to play keyboards sort of in the band because I started to do little piano stuff behind the scenes.
That's cool. So you guys opened up for Fall Out Boy in like 2007. What was that like?
It was fun. Yeah, I'd never played a show that big before. I mean, we had toured and we had played some pretty big local shows back in Salt Lake City, but on the road we'd never played like obviously a venue like the Roxy and with a professional band like Fall Out Boy. So it was cool that I can't even remember how we got the invitation, but somebody.
It was for AOL Music, I think. I wasn't in the band at the time.
Yeah. Matt wasn't in the band at that time, but AOL Music was throwing some. America Online, for those of you that
that clears it up.
We used to, that's what we used to have to do back in our day. AOL Instant Messenger. Anyway, so they had a performance, something, and Fall Out Boy was the guest, and somebody knew somebody that, like, I guess showed Fall Out Boy our music, and they thought it was cool, and so they were cool with us opening the show. And so, yeah, it was a good experience. My first taste of, like, what being in a real rock band is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People that like actually show up to the show and are into it. So yeah, that aspect is pretty cool.
So did you guys have any pre-show traditions?
I don't know. I don't think I ever have.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I crack my knuckles, so maybe that's a tradition. Yeah.
I guess post-show tradition was for all of us to pack up our stuff and be done, and Brian Szymanski taking it like an extra 30 minutes to pack up his keyboard.
Yeah, he had a large keyboard that he had. It was really heavy, so.
And he really liked folding his chords.
Very slowly folding chords. But no, we didn't really do anything like that. I don't think we were at that level yet to do like any cool traditions before you play to like 50,000 people, you know. But.
Wow, all right. So all of the original members have gone on to do their own solo projects. Did you guys ever see that happening, or like how does that make you feel?
I feel good. I feel good about it. No, you don't ever think that when you're in a band, you know, especially a band that's having some success, you don't ever envision it like ending. And so like that was never on the radar that like, yeah, one day I'm going to do my own solo project. But as it happens, you know, bands kind of run their course, you know, and people go their separate ways. It's not too uncommon. And I feel good about it, you know. I mean, I would always play music, you know, regardless of whether I was like a known commodity or not, I would still make and record music. So it just made sense to me once I didn't have really a band anymore. I wanted to keep making music. So I've done the solo thing. I've had a couple of bands I've played with, and now I'm kind of back to doing a solo thing. But I hope to eventually have a band formed around this too, sometime.
All right,
Nice.
cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I've played with Dallin once or twice in the last couple of years and recorded a few things. I actually recorded something with Brian Szymanski way back when. We recorded a song that he used to propose to his wife, which
that's so cute.
It's pretty funny. We always make fun of it now, but so I try to like stay in contact with everybody, but you know, life gets in the way, and.
So yeah, that was my next question. Do you guys all still keep in touch?
For the most part, I don't really talk to Dallin much anymore, but I think Matt does sometimes. And obviously, I see Matt. Matt lives out here, and I live in Utah, so we don't see each other as often, but we talk almost daily through text message and stuff like that. And I haven't seen Brian in a long time.
I think even if you lived in the same house as Brian, you probably wouldn't see
he's
Brian.
kind of aloof, so I don't really see Brian. And the same with the other members of the Brobecks. After Matt and Brian left, two new members, Dave Chisholm and Nate Leslie, they were with us for a couple years, from like 05 to 07. And they live in different states too. So I don't see them really, but we communicate over the internet and stuff. So we keep in touch for the most part.
Do you think there'll ever be a reunion?
I don't know. I mean, like, I'd be down. You know, I really thought we had something good, you know, and I think we were just kind of coming into our own, you know what I mean? We were just all developing as songwriters, and we were starting to make cool music, in my opinion. So I think it'd be cool, but I don't know how realistic it is right now. I mean, it sounds like Dallin's having a lot of success with his new group, you know, so I'm sure all of his attention's kind of focused on that. But if there was a time where everyone was interested, I'd be down to make some more music for sure. I always like to record new and interesting stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, Dallin still plays Brobeck songs at his shows. So.
Yeah.
There's
Nice.
still hope.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. You know, it takes four to tango, I guess is the saying, right? But yeah, I'd be open to something like that.
And would you? Or?
Oh yeah, totally. I'll play anytime. I haven't played a real drum set in like 10 years though. Well, no, I guess it's only been like 5 years.
But it's like riding a bike, right?
Yeah, yeah, I can do it. I mean, I have electronic ones. It's fine. But
So now this is more for you.
Sure.
So why did you choose the name Whisperhawk?
Well, there's a couple things that go into it. First of all, I really like hawks. I like the bird, hawks. And I've always wanted, like, I just think it's a cool word and a cool bird. So I was wondering if I could integrate that with something. And I found something, which I liked. The other reason is every band name is taken. Like everything you can think of, there's like 5 people that have it. And so it's really hard to come up with a band name that sounds cool to you that isn't already taken. So it just kind of worked out that way. I was like trying to think of stuff I could use with like tie in with a hawk. And I'm like searching all this stuff, and like there's like a million bands that like have hawk in it. And then I'm like, what's a word I could use? And so anyway, whisper seemed to work. I like the word whisper too. It has a nice sound to it. It's soothing.
Yeah, it's very
Just like
melodic.
Just like whispering is soothing, right? Soft.
nice.
It's,
Cool.
so the two together, yeah, that's how you get Whisperhawk.
All right. So what challenges have you faced as a solo artist, and how does it differ from being in a band?
I mean, there's pros and cons. Obviously, being in a band is fun. There's more energy. You know, there's more things going on when you perform, so it makes it more interesting, I think. The cons are trying to arrange everybody's schedules, you know, and get everyone in the same room, and you know, sometimes you run into like getting everybody on the same page, you know, and like how serious you're taking it. So those are just some band dynamics that kind of come up. But as a solo artist, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You can just do what you want when you want, you know. You can do it in the comfort of your own home when you're writing songs. You don't have to travel anywhere to do that. So I enjoy that part of it. I enjoy being able to do stuff when I want to. But I do obviously miss playing with other people. It's just, there's nothing like it, having like a full band, so.
Yeah. So my next question is actually about like having creative control as a solo artist. Do you?
Sorry,
What?
I'm just messing with them. I sometimes will just randomly stare at them and make them uncomfortable.
It worked.
So do you prefer having more creative control, or do you wish you had other people to have to bounce off of?
Sure, I don't know. I guess so, because I feel like my strengths as like a song maker is like coming up with songs. Like I'm not a trained musician, you know, I never took lessons and stuff, so I don't know like all the theory and all that. And I think some people are really good at that, like in creating parts that they know will fit with the song. I feel like my strength is like coming up with like song ideas, you know what I mean, and singing. And so I just feel like because of that, like just naturally, you know, I guess that there's a certain amount of control I like to have, just because that's, you know, where my strengths lie, I think. I don't know, maybe other people would differ with that, but I don't like to be someone that, you know, dictates everything. For example, I'm recording a new song out here right now, a new single, and I recorded a demo version of it before I came out here to record it. And when we got into the studio, my friend Art, who's off camera right now, and the guy recording us, John Siebels, as we were doing it, they had a couple ideas about the song, and it kind of took, it's still the same song, but it took a little bit different direction. And it wasn't something that I would have imagined it would have sounded like coming into it. And so because of that, I think it's much better. I think it made the tune better. So you need people's input, and you know, I guess I could say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do it the way I originally had it. So you got to listen to people. You got to collaborate, and because other people have good ideas too, and so you have to take that into account.
Are you saying that you have to stop, collaborate, and listen?
I suppose I did say that.
Vanilla Ice was onto something.
Yeah, I guess he was.
Vanilla Ice is a genius.
Yeah.
And he is good at repairing houses too. You ever seen his show?
He's a house flipper.
He flips houses, I think.
That is so random.
Yeah, but it's true.
So how does your music now differ from the music you made in the beginning of your career?
Well, I just think it's in my opinion, I think it's gotten better just because I've gotten older and better as a songwriter and as a singer. So I think it just naturally, the songs are better, in my opinion. But aside from that, I think I'm doing similar stuff that I've always done. I love melody, you know, I like a good song with a melody that, you know, is somewhat catchy. That's kind of what I like about music. And so I've always, I think, stayed within that, even if, like, the songs change sometimes. Sometimes maybe it's a little more folky sounding. Sometimes it's, you know, more rock sounding or indie rock sounding. But I think even with that, the songs always have melody. And so I think that's what I've always done, and that's probably what I'll continue to do, just because that's what I like about music. So it's changed, I guess, because I think it's gotten better. You hungry?
A little hungry.
Stomach growling?
Hungry for music.
Let me get you a donut after this. How about that?
Thanks, pal.
So what's your process for songwriting?
I've heard different things. People have different processes. I know some people like try to write every day, like try to come up with something every day. Like for me, like and other people like they feel inspired before they can start doing stuff. I'm more like that. Like I'll noodle on my guitar and stuff, but some days you're really just not feeling it. Like you feel like I have no good ideas. I've written my last song because I have no more good ideas. And so I'll just put it down, you know, and give it a break. And then there's, you know, there's out of nowhere, for no explanation, you just get an idea of like chords, you know, a chord progression or a melody or something, and then you just go with it. So it's kind of sporadic how I do it, but I typically will have like a song structure first before I have lyrics and stuff. So I usually do lyrics after I have like a song structure and a melody in mind. That's kind of how I work.
What about you? Do you still do? I don't know.
It's a good question.
Matt does music.
Kind of forgot. Yeah, I actually now I score like a lot of documentaries and films and stuff. I have that same fear of like once you complete a project, like that's probably the last time I'm going to be able to do that. There's no way I have any inspiration left to ever write anything again. It's over. And then you're like, oh wait, now I have some ideas.
Usually comes back.
Yeah. So there's always that fear, but yeah, you can figure something out.
Cool. So how do you record your music independently, and like what obstacles do you have to face?
This gentleman right here. No, Matt's recorded a lot of my music over the years, and he's played on a lot of my music over the years too. Because recording's expensive, you know. If you go to like a professional studio, it can cost a lot of money. So it pays to have friends that, you know, can hook you up for like significantly lower prices and help you do that stuff. So there's pros and cons to it, you know. I mean, it's much cheaper to record independently, but other times, you know, you might not have the same equipment and stuff that a professional studio has. And so I kind of go back and forth between the two. I'll do like some independently recorded stuff, and then I'll go to the studio and do a few tracks. Because I like both of them. I think they both have value and are both unique ways to record.
It is interesting how technology has made it so that like I can be here and you can be in Utah, and we can still like, you can send me files, I can mix it, send it back, and like the process of collaboration is really interesting.
Yeah, so on the Whisper Hawk EP that I released like last year, I guess, we did it like that. I recorded the guitars and vocals at my house and like the bass, and I sent those files to Matt over the internet, and he drummed on it, you know, and added some stuff and mixed it and then sent it back to me. So we were able to make like a whole record, not even being in the same room. Which,
that's crazy.
Yeah, which you can do now, which 10 years ago you couldn't do that, you know. So,
yeah,
so that's
technology
neat.
is wild.
Yeah.
So where do you draw most of your inspiration from?
It changes. I think most of my material recently has had sort of like a political tinge to it. You know, for self-explanatory reasons. Most of the early Whisper Hawk stuff, like the EP I released, I draw from that. You know, I tend to, though I like melody and I like songs to be catchy, I tend to write about like more depressing song, you know, subject matter, just because that's what I find, I don't know, cathartic or whatever about music, and that's what I like. You know what I mean? Like there's enough love songs I feel out there, and enough songs that don't really mean anything, but like have a good beat, you know what I mean, or something like that.
Yeah.
So even though I like pop music and stuff like that, I like to try to say something in the lyrics that maybe doesn't really match the sound of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, so most of my lyrics, I guess, borderline depressing. So
I like it.
So when did you guys know that you wanted to be a musician? Like, did you guys have a specific aha moment?
That's a good question. For me, I was in junior high school, and I knew my brother played the drums, and he was a cool guy, and like everybody thought he was cool. So I'm like, if I want to be cool, I got to play the drums. And then I got there, and they're like, you have to play the xylophone first, which is like the least. Well, I mean, if you play the xylophone, it's a great instrument, but it doesn't have the cool factor that like a drum set has. And so it kind of backfired on me a little bit.
then you were also like way into the Beatles as a kid.
Yeah,
Right?
it's true.
Like, knew everything. And so,
That's how I grew up too, the Beatles.
Nice.
yeah, Matt like had everything.
Me and Dallin actually made our own mockumentary version of the Beatles anthology where we played the Beatles, and this is a long time ago.
Does that still exist somewhere?
No, no way. I played Ringo. It's great. Anyway.
Sure, a lot of people would like to see that out there.
Yeah, give it to me. I'll showcase it here.
Gotta burn it.
For me, it was, for me, I think I mentioned it in the beginning of this. Matt and I got together, I don't want to say the year because it'll make us seem really old, but we got together and just my first time like recording music was with Matt, and just the whole process of like being able to make a song and then like hear it back, you know, like something that you created. It's like, you know, like any art that you make, you know, knowing that you did it. And it's like, wow, that's fun. That was fun to do that. And so that's what did it for me. I was probably like 19 or something. I didn't start playing music until I was a little older. And so that's when I kind of caught the music bug, is that. And then I just kind of never turned back from it. So.
Cool, cool. So, I mean, I know you listened to the Beatles growing up, but what other artists did you guys listen to growing up, and how has that affected your music?
Lots, right?
What do you
Pretty
got?
eclectic. I mean, I think our parents all had old records and stuff. So, you know, when we were really little, you know, we all had like Beatles records and stuff like that. And, you know, I'd listen to a lot of stuff that my parents had. And then I got into junior high. That's kind of when I started discovering music, I think, more in depth. Was at junior high through friends and stuff. Like the Weezer Blue album was a big one for everybody when we were young. Nirvana was big. You know, all those things. Neil Young is a big influence of mine. I mean, he's older now, but he's made a lot of great music throughout the years. Obviously, the Beatles, more modern bands, you know. Like, I'm a big Ryan Adams fan. I like that sort of stuff. Grandaddy's a good band that I like. So, pretty eclectic. But I think a lot of our influences come from, like, classic artists, like 60s, 70s stuff at the root of it. So, for me anyway.
Yeah, I would agree. And then for me, like as a recording person, I got into like Flaming Lips because of their odd ways they recorded drums and strings and stuff like that. And then a lot of like movie soundtracks and Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, yeah. You had a Weird Al phase as a young child.
It's all true.
All right, cool. So, last question. What personal goals do you guys have in your future careers?
You know, just get people to listen to Whisperhawk. You know, that's all you can really ask for as someone that creates things, is for people to care about it. You know, whether it's a small group or a large group. It's a good feeling when you know that people are actually listening to what you're doing, and they don't think it's terrible. So that's enough to keep you going, I think. And besides the fact that I just like to make music, so. In whatever capacity that is, I'm just going to keep making music and recording music, and you know, kind of whatever comes from that, you know, we'll wait and see. But
I agree with everything you said except about me.
everything I just said, but with you.
But me instead of you, yeah.
Just me too.
Yeah.
All right.